A farm in a remote corner of Devon. For the last 12 years, it has been worked by BC and John Vernon and their family. They are the only mixed-race family in this part of the country.
A barn for the kings. It's like a sheep house, isn't it? Okay.
So is growing up in the country a different experience for their children from that of mixed-race teenagers living in big cities and towns? I'm interested to know whether this is true, and if so, what that difference has to say about our society's attitudes towards racial mixing. My father is from Nigeria. My mother is British, white. So I am what is known as racially mixed, or what one famous politician called a half-caste and a misfit, and a cause of national tension. I grew up in Wiltshire, and we were the only family of a different race in the area. As I grew up, I had white friends, went to a white school, and had a white upbringing at home. Inside me, therefore, there is part of me that is white. But when people look at me, they only see a black person. It is a mixed experience. I wanted to find out if other racially mixed teenagers felt the same way as me. I visited a Bristol school to ask first whether kids from different races mix freely and go out with each other, and whether it's possible to have a close friend of a different race.
Yeah, of course it is. It doesn't really matter what colour the skin is. It's what underneath it counts, you know. It doesn't really matter the colour of the skin. They're all look the same to me. It doesn't matter. It's what's inside their head, what's inside the skin. It doesn't matter at all what colour skin they are. They're all the same. Everybody's the same, really, when you come to think of it.
Have you got a good friend of a different race?
Yeah, he sat next to me.
Colour doesn't come into it, especially when you're in primary school, and that colour doesn't come into it. You know, you're with your friends and that, and you're young, you don't know about your colour, do you? But as you grow older and you go into secondary school and you mix with other people, especially when you're making new friends and you're older, colour does come into it quite a lot.
Within the actual school itself, in the lower years of the school, there's not a lot of mixing goes on at all. There seems to be little groups.
So is there more sort of prejudice, racial prejudice in the lower...
In the lower years than in the sixth form, yeah.
It's the early adolescent years. They're easily influenced by parents. It's one thing if you've got, a white kid brought up in a white area, the prejudice comes into it, and then they stick together through the lower years in adolescence. They'll stick together. Same with the black kids. They're brought up in a black area, with black parents, they'll stick together as well in the lower years. And you'll find it in the lower years, just downstairs from where we are at some breaks. You'll get one section where you get blacks, one section where you get whites, and if you're lucky, you'll get a couple talking in the middle. And that's just what it's like. It's just, I think, because they're easily influenced at that age. It's 13, 14.
Ranjit, do your parents have any objection to you bringing back white friends?
They're wary.
Why?
They're wary of white kids because they don't know a lot about them, you know. Because my mum and dad, because they're Indian, they stay with their own, people. And it's hard to mix. I mean, especially if they was brought up in India, and come over here, and it's hard to break into the white community, and they'd rather stay with, with their own people, actually. But because I was brought up here,
you don't have that fear.
I don't have that fear.
Sally, are you comfortable taking people home?
Yeah, that's fine with me. I mean, my parents don't object to me taking any friends home at all, because they don't object to friends. It's just when I get older, I can't have the same relationships with my friends because they tend to go out and find boyfriends, if I can say that expression. And then I have to sort of be less a friend to them.
We're not allowed to have boyfriends, and they're afraid of the influence it might have on us. So, they're a bit protective because of that.
This is a black youth club in Bath. A few white kids do come here, and one or two from racially mixed families.
I think most black youngsters or people are aware of their colour all the time. You know, you say that, like Clive was saying, there's not much racialness about these days, but you've got to be aware of it, you know. You know, black, white, no matter what you are, you're aware of your colour all the time.
You're mixed race, and you mix with white kids in school and mix with black kids out of school, mostly, is that right?
Yeah.
Do you feel more black than white or white than black?
I think I feel more black than white. More black than white.
Why?
Well, I suppose hanging around with black people, and I think, well, the experience I've had sort of in society, white people in society will regard me as black. They look on me as black.
Even though you're really, really pale-skinned?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I still get racist remarks.
As far as I'm concerned, he hangs around with us, and he's on the street, and say, if you knock upon a gang of white kids, you're not going to go around and say, hey, there's another honky, you know, a funny-coloured honky. We're going down the street, right? They're going to call him a nigger, wog this, whatever, right? So therefore, they've already put him down as a black man.
I asked them what they thought about having girl or boyfriends from different races. Paul, have you got a girlfriend at the moment?
Yes.
And is she black or white?
It's a white one.
She's a what? She's a white girl?
Yes.
Have you been going out with her a long time?
About 10 months.
Mm-hmm. So it's sort of a long time.
Yes, a bit of a long time.
Do you always go out with white girls?
Yes, in a way.
What do you mean, in a way?
I haven't found a nice black one yet.
There's loads of them around you.
Yeah, but you got to find them first.
Have any of you girls ever been out with white boys?
No.
No, none of you?
No.
Would any of you consider it? Jenny, you shook your head.
No, I wouldn't go with a white man.
Why not?
It's just not my scene. I mean, like, say, Goffy's my brother, and, you know, it's all right for him, but I notice that when a black girl goes out with a white guy, they get hassled. It's always different. But when it's a black guy going out with a white girl, it's all right.
How did they get hassled?
Well, I don't know. It's just like you see more of the black guys with the white girls. And you don't, very rarely you see a black girl with a white man. And if you do, you know, people tend to say, call her names on the streets and that kind of thing. But personally, I wouldn't go out with a white man.
I think we're all God's children. We're all the same. I don't think there's any difference, really, why two people of two different races can't mix together and live together for the rest of their lives. There's no difference.
Steve, what do you think about Jenny's comment that mixed marriages don't work?
I think it's rubbish. Rubbish.
Why?
Of course they work. Well, my mother and father are still together, and it's working perfectly. So how can she say that? I mean, it's living proof.
Raphael goes to a virtually all-white grammar school in Bristol.
My dad originally comes from Guyana in South America, and my mum from Israel in the Middle East. I was born in England, but I feel that I don't actually feel properly British, you know. I'm kind of a mixture of Israeli and Guyanese, but I see myself really as black due to this society really in England. It's the way that I have to really see myself because of their attitudes. No matter whether you're like light skin, brown, black, they still see you as a black man, as a black person, so you have to deal with that. I don't think there's any overall outright racism in there, but you do always have this constant feeling there's an attitude that they carry off from this society in Bristol, England, about black people. Sometimes in the sixth form, I feel left out on my own in the common rooms or in the classrooms. There's a kind of apprehension amongst the people around me, I feel, with me, I'd like to know, is that just because I'm slightly darker than them, or is it just my character? I find that hard to tell, seeing that I'm the only black person in the sixth form, you see.
Don't you want to look at that one? All right.
Like Raphael, Michelle and her sister Lorraine grew up and live in the city. Their mother has recently moved to the country, but Michelle has chosen to stay in Bristol with Lorraine and Lorraine's baby Craig.
Oh, did you have an egg this morning? He goes squeak squeak, doesn't he? My mum's from West Indian, but she's also got some mixed blood in her. She's got some Chinese, I think, on her father's side, and then her mother's West Indian, and my father is English, and he's got some Welsh in him. But I'm also told that my mum's got some Scottish in her as well. And my mum was born in the West Indies, and Dad was born in Bristol. But I was born in England as well.
What's the same as that?
Do you feel more white than black or black than white?
Well, I don't feel either, really. I feel as I am. I mean, I don't feel black and I don't feel white. I feel as I am, and I am who I am. I mean, I can't be more white if I wanted to anyway, and I couldn't be more black, except for when with my friends. But I just be myself all the time, and I just feel that I am me.
Are most of your friends black or white, or are they both?
Well, I've got friends. I've got black friends and white friends, and I've also had Indian friends, but they've grown up and gone to different schools, and they've actually moved away from the area. I find that I can mix with people, children very well. I mean, although I'm shy, I can mix with them and not feel out of place. So I've got friends of both black and white.
Do they mix together?
Well, the only when they mix together is when they're at school, you know, like in the same classes, and when they have to, you know, at dinner times. But out of school, I don't really mix them together because it puts me in the middle of both of them. Like if I have one white friends and a few black friends, and they start arguing about each other, you know, why don't you go back to where you come from? That puts me in the middle, and I feel, you know, I feel torn between who should I go for, like who should I say is right and who should I say is wrong. So I just tell them, you know, not to argue because it puts me in a very difficult spot and I can't take sides.
Do you think that racially mixed teenagers have a harder time sorting themselves out than a black teenager or a white teenager?
Well, that all depends on where they are, you know, where they're brought up to and how their parents help them and their friends help them. I mean, if their parents help them and bring them up and say, yes, you are mixed race, and because your father comes from Western, you know, Jamaica, and I'm English, that means you are mixed race. And then, you know, they will grow up with that to help them. Mum told me that I'm mixed race, so that I know I must be mixed race because if Dad comes from there and Mum comes from there, I'm half of what they are.
Michelle, you have racially mixed friends who are told they are black but treated as white.
Well, the friends what I've got, I don't know, they've got the hair. People associate mixed race people with having the frizzy hair. I mean, they have actually got the frizzy hair. I'm lucky because I've got straight hair and it's not a lot of problem. But they've got the frizzy hair and they're told they're black, but their parents are continuously trying to straighten their hair. And they're combing out the curls and they're saying, oh, these curls are terrible. How do we, you know, get the hair straight? And they say to me, well, how have you got your hair straight? And I say, I've never had frizzy hair. And they're told they're black, but they live in a white area. There's no other black people there. So how are they going to act and carry on? I mean, they're going to be so confused, told they're black, live in a white area, have their hair combed out like white, you know, try to get the curls out. And they just got a lot of white friends around them. I mean, they act like white people as well.
Your mum lives in a village. Do you think mixed race kids have more of a problem in the country than in the city?
I don't like living in the country. I try not to go down to visit my mum because I feel really conspicuous when I go down. I feel like everyone's looking at me and I just don't fit in at all.
Michelle's feelings of being conspicuous and uncomfortable in the country are shared by Jessica Vernon, the daughter of the farming family we saw earlier in Devon. She's only 16, but she has chosen to continue her education in Sheffield rather than remain on the farm, and returns home only for the holidays and the odd weekend.
Jessica, go. Hello. Good trip.
Yeah, lovely, thanks. How are you?
All right.
All right. Yeah, fine, thanks. Hello, Gertie.
I heard your coach broke down.
Yeah, it's terrible. There's no heating.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes,
How are
fine.
you?
What did you have to do then? Where did you break down? Sheffield?
Yeah, about half an hour.
Polly and Howard?
Sheffield.
Fine. God, you must be freezing.
Yeah.
Look at you. It's the winter, you know, it's not summer. I don't know. Come, Pops.
Yeah, he killed me this morning.
Vivian joined the family 7 months ago when the Vernons fostered him.
I bet something.
3.5 miles.
It's on Sunday.
Jessica's brother Adam, who is 17, is happy to stay on the farm and goes to the technical college in Barnstaple, the nearest town.
I think when we first came here, I think it's a bit of a shock for some of the locals, like local farmers. I think they're shocked to see sort of a half-caste coming to live in their environment. But I think over the years, their attitudes have changed. And I think they've accepted us more and more, and they're just treating us like them. And the same goes for my school friends and friends at college. After I got to know them, they just treated me like everyone else. But the people I don't know, sort of like at college, they sort of see me about. I mean, they sort of tend to sort of start coming out with racist jokes.
Do you think you suffer at all being of mixed race rather than being all black or all white and living in the country rather than living in the town?
To them, we are either black or we are either white, and being half-caste doesn't make any difference. If our skin's not the same colour as theirs, which is white, then they know that we're different from them, meaning that we're black.
Until I was about 11, I sort of feel that I didn't like going out, like to any parties or something, just when you get into the age when you sort of meeting new friends when you go to secondary school. And there used to be kids that you sort of call your names, you know. I used to get pushed around, and the way I combated that was I used to sort of tell racist jokes, I suppose, myself. So when I was 11, I thought, well, it's not worth fighting. I mean, there's 600 white kids and 1 black kid here, or coloured kid here, and it's just not worth doing that. I'm not into fighting anyway. And another thing was I was so good at sport as well. I mean, I used to be I could outdo all of them, you know, sort of at practically any sport. And that's when, well, I suppose, I was in the 2nd year, and they started sort of realising that I wasn't different from them.
They used to call me Chocolate Drop, and I never used to like going out to discos because I'd think I'd be left out. I knew I was a different colour, but I didn't think it was so important. If I did go to a disco, I used to be embarrassed because I knew I'd be, you know, sitting by myself most of the night. Everybody else would have their boyfriends. I used to feel shy going out because the only place I'd normally go would be Barnstaple or South Molton, the 2 nearest towns. And I don't really be the only coloured person there. And if I had bought something fashionable, say from Exeter, which hadn't reached Barnstaple yet, I never used to wear it until I'd seen some white girls been wearing it, you know? I used to think they wouldn't like to see a black girl in something that they hadn't seen yet.
If you're living in town, you go much more unnoticed, you know, because there's so many other coloured people about. But you come to Devon, you go into a local town, and you're one of very few. And I mean, you make sure you're very careful what you do. I mean, if you go into a shop, you don't stomp around, sort of being impolite. You're very polite. And you make careful, you actually see the people buying things. So they think, oh, he's coloured. Oh, we'll keep a sharp eye on him. So you're just careful, you let actual people make sure they see what you're buying. That's how I go around things when I go to a town.
If I mess about, I don't want people to think that all coloured kids are like this. I don't want to put them off. But as he says, in a town, a big city, I mean, I just blend in with... Well, I felt that I'd blend in with people in Sheffield now. I never had any problem about being black in the village, never, because we've all been close up there. if I had a choice, I'd prefer to be in Sheffield. It's all just natural up there, you know. Black people are walking up and down, not being afraid of wearing whatever and saying whatever. It's just what they do every day, isn't it? You know? I mean, like when I go into Barnstaple or South Molton to think, right, what am I going to say and stuff like this, but up in Sheffield, they just do it.
Hello, how are you? Very well. You on holiday again?
Yeah, I'm just down for the weekend.
So never gave us a bad penny.
How long are you here for? I'm going back on Monday.
Just a bit chunky, that's all. This is your style,
Well, I've enjoyed living down here. I mean, I wouldn't move to Sheffield because if I had severe racist problems down here, and I'd try to sort them out for myself down here. I don't want to run away from the situation, and I'm not. No, I mean, I like to sort them out with myself and with other people, and sort of rather sort of escape to a city where there's lots of different sort of races, you know, sort of living. I mean, I'm pleased I've been brought up in North Devon. It's taught me a lot of things that city kids don't know, you know.
Do you feel more black than white or white than black?
Well, it depends what country you're in. I mean, in Britain, yeah, I feel more black than what I do white. This probably because of the way I feel and relate to other people and have what other people relate to me. But when the family went to Nigeria 3 years ago, they all thought we were white, and that was quite a shock, actually. And yeah, well, I didn't know how to cope with it to begin with, and they began to accept it. But calling us a white person was when you actually go back to your home country or where your parents originate from, and they call you white. It's quite a shock. I can assure you. I don't know what you felt, but
Well, I mean, being called white over there, and then when you come back here, you've been called black. You know, you don't know how to relate to it. But there was one instance when I went to the market with my gran in Nigeria, and this lady came up to me and she just started slapping my arms and that. And my gran went up to her and asked, you know, why she did this, and she said because I was white. And after that, I was quite shocked about going out, you know, worried about what people would think about me.
When you were out there, what did you feel like? British, Nigerian, a visitor or what? And what did you feel like when you came back to Britain?
While I was out there, I felt really British because, well, not just because of the colour of my skin, but because I didn't know how to act like a Nigerian. And when I got back to Britain, I relaxed a lot because I just thought it was nice to be back home, you know. I could... Well, while I was out there, I was trying to be like them, and it was really hard.
I was glad to get back home to Britain. In the end, it's a big relief to get back. So I was pleased to be back on British soil.
So I went back into town.
I'm quite happy being mixed race. I'm quite happy what colour I am. I'm proud to be what colour I am. I wouldn't want to be any other colour. I've only known this colour and I enjoy being this colour.
Or anybody you knew?
No.
Yeah, you're lucky you weren't down here when Grandma was in. Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, she was great.
She wasn't.
I rang up Grandma to see how she was in this weather, and she was down here.
Yeah. Well, we decided at 82 this month that, you know...
Yeah, she's good for 82, though, but I mean, it's a bit much when she starts going, no, I don't want to go and live in London, darling. I mean, it's a bit much. I
know, but it's just, she's in another generation. I mean, you just got to accept that, haven't you? But we did take her to, you know, the old people's home that Sally works in?
Yeah.
And then we sort of said, well, you know, she's quite welcome to come here if she wants to come and live with us.
Oh,